everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Nicole and this is Let Knit Be Sew. Today I'm going to share with you my trip to the Stitch Festival, which is a sewing and knitting and stitching, general crafty festival that's been on in London this past week. I went on the Thursday, so I'm going to share with you my thoughts, what I purchased, and I will share with you probably what is the most apt for me sewing label that I had seen, and I was very excited to pick this one up as soon as I laid eyes on it. All right, just quickly what I'm wearing today. I have got on, I was trying to channel the spring vibes because when I went on the day I went to the Stitch Festival, which was Thursday, it was really sunny in London. It's not so great today. Like, it's not cold, but it's, it's a bit grey. So I was trying to put this on in the hopes of, like, continuing the spring vibes, even if the weather is not necessarily playing ball. So this is the Tulia Tee by Sewing by Maison. I'm not entirely sure which way you pronounce that. It is it a free pattern? I think it might be a free pattern on her website, and it's technically a unisex pattern. So if I hover up, you can see it's this kind of long line t-shirt. It's got grown on sleeves. There are actually, so there's two seam lines here. So there's like 3 pattern pieces here, and then the back is like, there's also a seam down the back. It's quite long on me. It sort of comes to, if I was wearing this with leggings, I could probably get away with just wearing this t-shirt because it comes quite far down. So it's quite long, but yeah, it's just a nice loose fitting, summery t-shirt in this fun black viscose jersey with all these bright pops of colour, flowers on it. I definitely do want to make at least one more of these. I feel like I made this towards the end of like last summer, and yeah, really like this pattern. Like I say, there's about 5 pattern pieces, so it's really straightforward, goes together super quickly, and it's just something a little bit different from the other t-shirts in my wardrobe. So yeah, definitely do want to make another one of these. All right, on to the Stitch Festival. So like I say, I went on Thursday and I got a ticket for just the afternoon. I live in London, so I don't have to do a lot of travelling, so I was quite happy to get a slightly more affordable ticket and just go in for the afternoon. So that was to get you in at 2:30, and then I think it was open until 6:30. So it's at the Business Design Centre in Islington, which is just up the road from Angel Station, so super accessible. A lot more accessible than Alexandra Palace, where the Knitting and Stitching Festival, the Knitting Stitching Show even is held. But yeah, so I went, I had a little like errand day where I did some of the bits that I needed to get done on my way. So I went for quite an intense physio session at first thing that morning, which was, my shoulder was very tight and needed a lot of work. So that was fun. I was sort of lying there, and they always say, like, if you want me to be a bit more gentle, just say so, and you're trying to like do your best to hold it together, because it's that pain where like if you do ask them to go gentle, it's probably not going to be as beneficial. So you're sort of trying to tough it out, and also try not to like make any noises that will worry other clients. I think I did pretty well. I think I was pretty restrained, given that some of what she was doing, it was really quite painful. And then I headed up from there to Islington. When I first got there, I headed up through Camden Passage, which is a little little windy side street, which has lots of sort of independent shops. There's also quite a lot of cafes and one thing and another. There's a market depending on what day you go, but there wasn't really anything. There was like one little bit of someone had bought some vintage clothing, but yeah, there wasn't as much as there sometimes is on other days. I feel like probably Friday and a weekend day is probably their typical market day. So yeah, I walked along there, and then I headed up to their art shop, which is called Cass Art, because I needed some new pencils and also a new sketchbook. So if you don't know, I go to life drawing classes once a week. Not once a week. I go to life drawing classes once a fortnight. So yeah, because we do quite a lot of different poses in the 2-hour classes. You can get through quite a bit of paper. So yeah, I needed another book, and yeah, I also bought myself some charcoal pencils. Normally I just use your standard like graphite pencils, but I thought I would give some charcoal ones a try, with the thought that at least if it's in a pencil, the main reason I don't use, you can get like the sort of like sticks of charcoal, and they do have them available at the class if you want to try it out. I just know that I will end up covered and then I'll touch my face, and then I'll look like a Victorian chimney sweep before you know what's happened. So yeah, I'm hoping that it being in a pencil form will maybe be slightly less dangerous in terms of making a mess. So yeah, I picked those up, and then I went also to have a look around Loop, which is a knitting shop. Been there for a long time. So I had a little wander in there. I'm sure plenty of people were also doing similarly. So it was fairly busy. It's quite a small shop. It was pretty busy in there. So yeah, I imagine plenty of people who perhaps don't live in the area were doing the same, coming to visit on their way to the Stitch Festival. I was very tempted by some La Bien-Aimée Corriedale worsted yarn in a pink colour, just because it was really nice. It's because it's on a sort of a greyish base rather than a lot of yarns that are dyed on like a cream or white base, and it had a nice texture. But La Bien-Aimée yarn is fairly pricey. Not that I am saying that that's a bad thing, more that just like it's a more considered purchase. So yeah, I definitely thought about it, and I may still think about it. I would obviously have to think about what I would actually use it for, because I could probably only afford to use one skein. So what would I make with a skein of worsted yarn? But yeah, it's in my memory bank now that it exists. So yeah, I had a little mooch in Loop. And then I went and got some lunch. So I went to Oaxaca, which is a sort of Mexican restaurant. I will make absolutely no comment on how authentic it is. I am by no means an expert in Mexican food. But I've been there before, and yeah, I wanted to treat myself to a lunch out, because I don't often go out and about like that for a whole day. So I wanted to, treat myself to lunch. I brought my book, so I was quite happy. I know some people feel a bit awkward about eating out like by themselves, and I do get that, but I really enjoy it. I do quite a lot of things solo. I'm someone who I don't want to miss out on doing something that I am interested in or I'm excited about just because there wasn't anyone else who was interested, or there wasn't anyone available to come with me at a certain time when I could go. So I have on many a time gone out to dinner by myself or to lunch by myself, and I just take my book, and I just don't let it faze me, and I quite enjoy it, because if it's just you, like, you get to pick where you're going, so like, you get to make all the decisions, and you can be as quick or as long as you like. And I had my lunch, like I say, took a rest, just chilled with my book whilst I was eating. And then I think I had about half an hour left to kill after I'd had lunch before my ticket would get me in. So I just went for a little walk, so up a street where the business design centre is located. It's a very busy street. There's lots of different shops and one thing and another. So I went in a few charity shops, just had a little mooch until it was time to go into the Stitch Festival. So in terms of thoughts about the Stitch Festival, so I haven't actually been to it before. I think I thought I had, and then when I got inside, I realised no, I don't think I've been here before. So the venue is a reasonable size, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not on the scale of Alexandra Palace, where the knitting and stitching show is. There's obviously there's quite a lot of like permanent shops that exist in the business centre, sort of around the edges, and a few in the middle that were not open because it was obviously hosting an event, but obviously that takes up space. So you're kind of limited to like a small bit in the downstairs area, the biggest part in the kind of upper floor. I think it was probably technically called like a mezzanine level, but it had the biggest floor space that was available to be used for stands for the exhibitors. And then you had a balcony space where they had put people all around kind of the edge of the balcony, and also the stage bit and a few other bits off to one side as well. So yeah, definitely not on the scale, particularly in terms of like open space compared to the knitting and stitching show. And in terms of the exhibitors, I felt like when I looked online, I thought the selection was pretty good, but I think walking around, it did feel a lot like there was more people who had brought stuff that was for like quilting, that kind of thing, and also there was a lot of stuff for like cross stitch, hand embroidery, those kind of like kits, that sort of thing, and other like little small businesses. There's a few like yarn, hand-dyed yarn vendors as well. So I think there was not as much in terms of like fabric shops as I would perhaps like personally. Obviously, if you're into embroidery or you're into quilting, like you might think differently. This is just my opinion and what I would want to get out of a show. So yeah, it did feel like there maybe weren't as many fabric sellers and pattern companies as there tend to be at the knitting and stitching show, and also that a lot of the companies who do often come to the knitting and stitching show, they just had a lot less floor space than they tend to do there, so they had been quite limited about what they could bring because they just you could only fit, particularly when you've all seen bolts of fabric in shops, they take up a fair amount of space. So if you've only got a small stand available to you, you're quite limited to what you can actually bring and fit, and still have people be able to browse. So yeah, I feel like some of the sellers, like I wished that they had had more space, but I think that's just a case of the fact that the venue is a lot smaller than the knitting and stitching show, so you're going to be limited in terms of the size of stand that you can have available. There's only going to be, there were a few larger fabric stands, but they were mostly concentrated in the middle of the mezzanine floor. So yeah, I think if you were looking for like lots and lots of like dressmaking fabric, it maybe there wasn't as much of that as you would see at say the knitting and stitching show. But I did find it useful that some of the pattern companies I was interested in were there, and they had kind of focused their stand on samples. So Maison Fauve is a pattern company that I've been really interested in after seeing Cara's videos talking about the patterns, and I'm currently making one of their free patterns, the grenadine skirt, at the moment. And yeah, having looked online, I thought that a lot of their patterns seemed to appeal to me, but they had 2 big long rails full of samples of their designs. It was really great to be able to, get right up and close, hold things up, touch it, and really really see the details, because I think they seem to have a lot of patterns which have some really nice finishing details, some things that are a bit more unique and interesting, to me at least. So yeah, it was really great to see their stuff in person, and yeah, definitely have well, I say a short list, but it's actually quite a long list of the patterns that I would like to try. But obviously can't buy all of the patterns in one go. And yeah, I'm going to finish the grenadine and then decide which patterns I would like to try next. It also, I think, helped me decide. So the Fabric Godmother stand, they had quite a few samples. And I think it definitely helped me decide that if I do make the Aspen pattern, which I haven't bought yet, and I'm still not decided whether I want to buy that one, or there's a McCall's pattern which is kind of similar, that's out fairly recently as well. It definitely made me decide that if I do get that pattern and decide to make it, it's going to have to be in like a cotton or a cotton linen, because handling the denim ones, I think it kind of cemented it for me that it's just too much denim for me. Like I say, this is just my opinion. But as someone who is, on the petite side of things and is like not very tall, I just feel like I would be drowning in denim gathers. And yeah, it was just too much for me. So yeah, I think, but I did touch I can't remember, it's in the the promotional photos that are on the website, and I'm not sure whether it's like cotton or cotton like seersucker or something, but in a much lighter fabric. And yeah, the difference was quite dramatic. So I think, yeah, I'm still debating whether I want to get the pattern, particularly because I'm not necessarily sure. It feels more autumnal to me, but maybe that's just depending on what kind of fabric you use. But yeah, I think yeah having the samples there to be able to fully touch and appreciate it definitely solidified for me that I wouldn't enjoy the finished garment if made completely in denim, but I probably would find it okay if it was made in cotton or cotton linen, something like that. So I think having stuff like that shows, whilst you might not make an immediate purchase, it is good to help you decide where you're a bit on the fence, and you're kind of going just by photos online, other people who've made it on Instagram, but everyone has their different things that they feel comfortable with. Some people might be perfectly happy with wearing a denim dress with that much fabric in. I think probably if you're taller it helps, but I am not tall, so it definitely helped me to make that internal decision that if I do buy that pattern, I will need to think about a lighter weight woven fabric for it and not denim. Okay, I think that's all I have to say just in general about the show. So let me show you what I bought. And I was pretty restrained, probably, like I say, because there wasn't a huge amount of fabric shops that had stuff that appealed to me. But, I didn't come away empty-handed either. So let's start with the fabric. So I only bought one fabric. And that was kind of a decision where I probably could have bought a couple of fabrics. So this was Roy's Material World. They definitely had the selection that most appealed to me. They had some really nice cotton prints, some really nice cotton linen blends, and also they had a really lovely selection of nice weight viscoses and lots of bold prints. A few of them I've seen listed on other people's websites, but a lot of them I hadn't seen before. And that's a really nice weight. Sometimes particularly with more affordable viscoses, you can they can be quite flimsy and light, whereas these are all a good weight. And the one that I ended up going for is this one. So it's like a pale sort of minty green base, and yeah, so it's floral, but it's kind of sort of impressionisty kind of painterly style with, yeah, a bit more aqua. There's some darker greens and a bit of purple and a bit of white as well. Yeah, just something about this one, I just kept going back to it, so that ended up being the one that I chose. But yeah, there are at least 3 or 4 that I was umming and ahhing between. And yeah, like I say, a good weight, nice and drapey. And I got 3 meters because I have been stuck in a rut of buying 2 meters of fabrics like this, and then being a little bit in a struggle for dress patterns to make with them. So yeah, bought 3 meters of this one, and yeah, don't know exactly what dress it would be, but yeah, I think it's going to be a really nice spring summer dress. And then I had been necking for a few bits of like haberdashery, was my other sort of main focus. So as you know, I've recently made a few different bags. I made the bestie bag a few weeks ago, and I also made a couple of noodle head bags as well. So yeah, I was looking around at some of the bag hardware on offer, and so I picked up some things from Purple Stitches. So I picked up a couple of strap adjusters because I've got another, well, I've got half a bestie bag cut out. I've got cut the main fabric. I need to cut a lining out, but yeah, I got a gold one and a silver one, just to have some of those in stock. And then the other thing I picked up from Pebble Stitches was some continuous zipper tape, because I used that on my bestie bag rather than having a normal zip. So the first one I bought, and which I'll probably use for the bag that I've half cut out, is this grey one, which has gold teeth. And so you've got a pack of, yeah, there's a meter here, and yeah, the one zipper pull. So I've got that one, so it's just, yeah, grey and gold. So that will go with the gold strap adjuster that I bought. And then I just thought this one was really cute. It's yeah, like little like hundreds and thousands like sprinkles that you'd put on like cupcakes, and then the zipper teeth are this fun blue colour, and then yeah, again there's a zipper pull in there to match, and I just thought that was fun. So yeah, a little bit more in the way of bag making stuff. I did not find a fabric for lining my trench coat. There were a few things which I was debating, but yeah, because you know, a trench coat is an involved make, and you know, something that I hope to have in my wardrobe for a long time. I didn't, you know, I wanted to have something that I was really happy with as the lining. I do have one fabric at the moment that I already have in my fabric stash that may be working, but yeah, I think I'll probably gonna have a little look online and see, yeah, if there's something else, because yeah, I just didn't see anything that felt I was drawn to strongly enough for, yeah, something that's going to be an involved make, and hopefully something that lasts me a long time. So the final thing that I picked up was some labels. So I mentioned on my Friday sews that I wanted to have some more, you know, a bigger selection of sewing labels available, because I only got a couple of different options currently. So I went to the little Rosy Cheeks stand, and yeah, had a hard time choosing again. There were so many great ones, but I ended up picking up 3 different lots because she was doing sort of some little mini discounts for like buying multiples. So these ones are hiding. So I got these ones which say, well, one of them says Savage, one of them says Made, and then I can't remember what this other one says. Let's have a look. It says, it says, I sew for me. So yeah, I thought those were cute and a nice, like, smaller size. And then I got these ones, which, as I've said, I do drawing, so it felt nice to have yeah, these ones, which are all lots of little pencils and little arty things. I forget again what they say. Just made a giant hole in this package now. They're like a range of sizes. There's like a really big one, which I thought was quite sweet. It says, "Write your own destiny." But yeah, the rest of them are a lot smaller. Like this one says, "Look sharp." Super cute. So yeah, that's those ones. And then the last ones, and I've seen, I've definitely seen the pencil ones online before from Little Rosy Cheeks. But yeah, I had never seen these last ones before. And yeah, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I have to have these because they're so appropriate. And it is these ones, which say, and they've in the style of like a denim pocket. It says, "Sewing is in my genes," and it has a little pocket with a little DNA double helix along the top. And like I say, when I saw these, I thought these are the most appropriate for me labels in a multiple of ways. So my grandma on my mum's side, she was a dressmaker. That was her profession. She used to make samples for the company that she worked for, that then would take them, to the shops that were going to stock them. So she was a pretty handy seamstress. Unfortunately, I wasn't interested in sewing when she was still with us. She had a lovely metal Singer sewing machine that was at their house that she used to use. One of those ones that flips up in the table. But yeah, at the time that she was around, I had done maybe like a few classes in like textiles at school, and I wasn't really interested in sewing at that point. Like, I was much more into drawing, that sort of thing. So yeah, unfortunately we didn't get the opportunity to chat sewing, because like I say, it's only been in the last 10 years that I have been sewing. So but yeah, sewing is in my genes. And also, I just, from the scientist perspective, so my day job involves genes and DNA, so it felt very appropriate for me, sort of bringing what I do in the day-to-day life into my sewing life as well. So yeah, they felt super appropriate, so I had to pick those up. And then there was also a little freebie as well, which just said handmade. But yeah, that is everything that I picked up from the Stitch Festival. Like I say, pretty restrained, but like I say, I did also do some research and have stuff saved in the memory bank for future reference. Yeah, particularly on the Maison Fauve patterns front. Yeah, they have a lot of lovely patterns. I feel like I would probably happily make any of theirs. I think I got the just handling the clothes, it felt very much like if they were a fashion retailer on the high street, it would definitely be a favorite of mine. So yeah, it was definitely great to be able to do that research on their stand, to know which ones I might like to start off with first. All right, that is everything. So I would love to hear if you went to the Stitch Festival, what you picked up, how you found it. If you have any suggestions for what I could do with my 3 meters of viscose fabric for a spring summer dress, I'd love to hear that as well. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will speak to you all again very soon.